Recording in progress.
All right.
We should be live.
Okay, thank you. All right, good morning, everyone. Let's call court to order. Today is Tuesday, August 29th, 2023. It's 9 a.m. Proof of posting, please.
The agenda was posted on Thursday, August 24th, 2023 at 4:10 p.m.
Thank you. All right, let's stand briefly for a moment of silence, and then we'll have Steve Hernandez lead us in a pledge to the flags.
Please join the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Okay. If there's any members of the audience who want to speak to the court on business matters or the tax rate, please do so now. We will have a hearing after this on the budget, but this is the time anyone to speak to the court on the other items. All right, seeing none, I'd like to go to under, before I go to item D under budget amendments, I'd like to go to item H3, and this has to do with with our risk management pool claim settlement for hail damage, and we have Brett Anderson here today. So Brett, if you want to come forward up here, and also Todd Kiesel with TAC. And so good morning.
Thank you for having us today. So we're just here to talk to you a little bit about the damages that occurred back in, I believe the storm was in may have been April. I'll be sure to speak into the mic.
Okay.
So from looking at a handful of your buildings, I just want to thank the court and TJ for the well upkeep and maintenance that the county has done on the buildings. You can tell that they're well taken care of. So the storm was fairly severe, as I'm sure all of you know, and probably personally were affected in some parts of the county as well. The county sustained damages to approximately 20 buildings, and some of the buildings with the more damages were the records building across the street, the MHMR Crisis Center, and the maintenance building next door, as well as the juvenile detention center. And with that, there was approximately $3 million in damages identified or estimated. And to date, there's been paid approximately $1.9 million. So the claim process is your coverage does allow for replacement cost. How it reads is until you've actually done the work and incur the costs, we release a partial payment up front, which is called the actual cash value. And so that's what the payments have been issued to date. And the one item, I believe, on the agenda that TJ will probably talk to you a little bit about that the court wants to review is the aesthetic impairment damages. Some people refer to it as cosmetic damages. So for instance, the courthouse has some dents on the roof. It has a lot of old dents too that were there before the storm, but it did sustain some new dents. And it's just cosmetic or aesthetic impairment, not affecting the water shedding capability or the life expectancy of the roof. And that was the main roof with aesthetic damage. There were a couple other smaller buildings or sheds that had some aesthetic impairment as well. So that's really what we're here to talk about with the court today. Do you have any questions on that?
Any questions?
The aesthetic impairment costs, 621,000,
That's the full estimated.
okay, with a limit of 500,000,
Yes, sir.
okay. And then how will you guys go about choosing which ones get repaired and which ones, is that something that we'll make the decision on? Okay.
Yes, sir. And so that's what you'll decide today is if you want to make those repairs or not, and if you want us to make that $500,000 payment or not. And TJ talked a little bit more, but if you don't pursue the aesthetic impairment and you don't ask us to pay it, it won't affect any future claims. If you get paid for a roof and you decide not to replace it, and then it gets damaged in a future storm, then it's already been paid for, so we wouldn't pay for it under that future claim. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
It does.
Aesthetic repair doesn't affect the integrity of the roof at all,
Does not.
now or in the future.
It should not, correct.
How much repair is gonna be needed on this courthouse roof?
If you decide to do the work, the estimate for the courthouse is $502,000.
So that's,
So it's way less than a full replacement.
right, but then that's our limit, and we wouldn't be able to fix anything else that has aesthetic.
The bigger storm came and did significant damage. We're already tapped out. We
Well, even, because I'm assuming it's just not this building that has aesthetic issues, right?
Yeah, there were,
Well, if it's.
So if we fix
there's
this
another-
roof, then we're out of money. Everything else is on us as far as aesthetics go.
TJ, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I'll hear what TJ says.
Judge, I mean, truthfully, it's a court decision, but being cosmetic and aesthetics only, I would not recommend moving forward. I would save that for another time when we do have damages that need to be repaired that actually affect the structure of the building.
The aesthetic damages here to the courthouse roof, are they visible to the naked eye? Can you, I mean, if I'm standing on the ground looking at
No.
it, I can't tell it, can I?
No, not
You
at
and
all.
I can run up there after court, though, if you want to look at them.
Okay, I'd
Hey, I've been up there. I bet I'm the only member.
recommend the
of
staircase
court
on
that's
this
been up there. It was scary.
No, and like I say, being pure aesthetics, without causing any harm or further leaks to the building, I would not recommend moving forward.
Okay, good enough.
Let's just call it character.
Absolutely.
Left some character on the roof.
Is Themis okay?
Themis is fine. Of course, she's built way better than she used to be, so she's
Okay.
perfect.
Wonder if I can get that done. Okay, any questions for anyone?
I mean, do we need to take action or what, is this an action item or? Where's
Let me go to eight.
where's Dustin? There he is.
Dustin,
I think we need to determine if we want to accept that aesthetic damage. TJ, did we want to look at it on the other, or do we just not want to accept it on the courthouse itself and to look at it on the other buildings?
No, I
Or
think
just
we,
none whatsoever?
yeah, none whatsoever, Dustin, is what
Okay.
my recommendation would be.
okay,
So we need a motion to accept TJ's recommendation regarding the aesthetic impairment cost.
right.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any questions anyone
Just to
have?
verify, we're eliminating the aesthetic costs from the total damages.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. All in favor say aye. Aye. Pose? Pass. Thank you, guys. Be careful on the road.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, TJ. All right, I'd like to go to, under item D, under budgets, budget amendments, transfers, changes. Go to items D1 regarding the FY '24 budget. Francis?
Yes, sir. So we have 2 items we need to circle back to today, if you're good with that. And then we'll go into the public hearing and then the adoption.
Okay.
Orders. And so first, we have Anna and Judge Bain with us, and so they were going to speak on a position in Judge Bain's office.
Okay.
While they get appeared, I know that was position 1094. It's titled Pretrial Service Assistant.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So just to review what was discussed last time this was brought up, it is position 1094, like Francis just mentioned, and this was included in the position summary of all of the 96 personnel requests that were made at the inception of the budget sessions. Working with Judge Bain throughout the summer to try to finalize kind of what he needed out of this position, what the position's already doing. We were able to determine that a job description needed to be updated. So that has been done. And so the updates to the job description include assisting the bail bond board to facilitate the regulation and monitoring of bail bond business, supporting the pretrial services coordinator with bail bond coordination, determining when requirements are met to release bonds and review bondsman applications for license renewal. So these are some of the primary changes of the job description that is prompting a reclassification from the current B05 to B07. With that reclassification, there's a salary adjustment being requested. The salary adjustment being requested, it's a little over $2,000. It's from a current budget of $49,978 to $52,303. So a difference of $2,325. I didn't mention previously kind of what the effect of the comp ratio for that would be. And so with the pay grade classification being updated and without an adjustment, the pay grade is 1.02. With the adjustment, that would change the comp ratio to a 1.07. 1.07, both comp ratios, of course, are within range. One brings it closer to courthouse peers doing similar legal functions, which is at 1.07. So that's actually the comp ratio for court admin assistants. They all share that salary of $52,303, which was kind of the basis of the request.
Okay. Any questions?
I was just going to add to that, the salary she mentioned is before COLA. So a COLA will be
Yes.
added to that to make it to keep it in line with all other
Right.
positions.
Yeah. And a comparative comp ratio was before COLA as well, right? So,
Right, and so what'll happen is once, what HR does, once budget is adopted with that COLA, that cost of living adjustment is applied to our pay structure, our ranges. And so that ultimately updates
Yeah.
our position's comp ratio across the board.
yeah,
Right.
okay.
But thank you for mentioning that, Francis, that's right.
All right, it's within our range, and
that increase with the COLA as well as taxes and fringe benefits would be $5,104 that would be added to the budget.
okay, and so we don't really need, you just need we need a vote
Yes, sir.
specifically on this?
Since we
Okay.
vote on everything since the proposed, that'll make it easier.
All right, well, it's within the comp ratios that we've asked Anna to keep them in, and it's equal to peers. So I'll make a motion, we approve that.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion?
I do, because, and it's not a personal decision on this particular position as much as I try to keep what I do kind of consistent. And I visited with HR because the system that I felt the court was going to was to get employees up to their comp ratio, to get them within market, and to get them comparable to their peers inside the county and outside. And when I look at this position, what she What HR is telling me is that I have 22% of county employees that are still under a one comp ratio, meaning that 22% of our employees are still not at their salary where they're at a one comp ratio. And so I just can't in good conscience take a salary from a 1.02 and take it to a 1.07. It has nothing to do with the person in the position or the department as much as me just looking out across the county and at other employees.
And I'll add to that, I was not here when you presented, and I think I'm gonna vote for this, but the question I have is more for Anna. We gotta be ready next year, because now what we're gonna do is we're gonna have people go, well, listen, the .80 is too low. And they need to be more in line and closer to this comp ratio. And I think that's something that we're gonna have. Where does it stop? Where do we draw the line, or do we just have to say everybody goes to a 1.0? Do you see where I'm coming from? So I think next year we're gonna see an influx of issues that, hey, they're at a .80, and that's the bare minimum, and they should be at a .85 or whatever. I see value in the system, and I like it because it does bring us a lot more control than what we had in the past, at least understanding. But just trying to look into the future and know that we've got several positions that could be very closely related to one another. Is it worth a .01, a .02? What's it worth? And I think that's where we're gonna have to start being able to defend those comp ratios.
I agree, yes, and there is always that question of kind of where within the range should a position be, and so that's where HR will always try to present other factors such as turnover, length of time that a position is vacant, have there been, changes in functions of the position, such as this one, that would warrant a review, and then, of course, how productive is the position with its current salary. So definitely, we'll always try to look at those factors because a number is a number. It's helpful to have context around it.
Right.
And COLA's adjusted some of those too, where there's, but still, I understand what you're saying.
But I agree, between now and the next budget year, we need a thorough understanding of where we are and where we're headed and what needs to happen, but I too support the recommendation, the motion.
All right, any other comments or questions?
I think it's about context, and where people are working and what tasks they're performing and things like that. So it's important to look at not just the comp ratio, but all of that.
Okay, anything else?
On that note then, when you assess a comp ratio, what does that mean? What does comp ratio mean? What is included in that?
So comp ratio is just the number that we use to compare to the benchmark that's been found for the position. And so we have the pay grade benchmark, we have market comparison benchmark, comparison to county peers, and then comparison to internal positions that are similar in function or in industry group. That's a better way to say that. And so averaging those ratios to those benchmarks, we get an overall ratio that determines which positions are most needing adjustments or at least in need of adjustment. And so those are the kind of the numbers that we use. And then we try to, working with the official making a request, fill in some of those other information gaps like that would provide the court more context, like turnover or difficulty finding applicants, things like that.
Okay, so comp ratio takes in the functionality of a position as far as
It does.
like positions inside of the county and also outside as far as market?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Call for vote.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
No.
Judge Felton,
Aye,
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
pass. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Since I'm going to have to be leaving, could I go ahead and mention something about the department head report?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just wanted to mention, it's basically the same as it typically is. However, we wanted to see about what the part-time associate judges have been doing. And so for the January to July, they have arraigned 1,000 people at our jail. They had over 1,400 criminal violations. They've issued 68 emergency protective orders on family violence cases, and 121 conditions of bond, which may be conditions involving family violence or DWI, where they have to get a breath interlock installed, that sort of thing, if they have a felony or subsequent DWIs. So I just wanted to add this because we started thinking about what have they been doing, and they've been doing a lot.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to let you know that.
I have a question. So you're saying between January and July, we have booked in 1,000 new people?
No, a lot more than that. That's just what they have seen 3 weekends a month.
From January through July, 1,000 new people have been booked into that jail?
Some of them are repeats,
That's just the weekend, too.
and that's
Okay,
only,
'cause I get a daily number, and I'm not seeing where that kind of turnover is there. Not if we still have, we kind of average around 1,100, sometimes up to 1,400, but I'm not seeing where people have been transferred maybe to another facility where we have another 1,000 people coming in in a 6-month period. I don't see that.
these are the people that were
Okay.
arrested, and they're seen like the next day by a judge. Some of them may have out-of-county warrants. Some of them were picked up maybe on a warrant here in McLennan County. Some of them were arrested because they were caught at the time of the offense was being committed. And as you know, Judge Richardson does 1 weekend a month. So this is only for the 3 that are doing 3 weekends a month. So we have quite a flow that goes through our jail every month. And
Isn't that-
that's not including the 5 days a week that I see all the, Friday, I saw almost 30 people in one day that had been arrested, that I had to arraign, set bonds, do all that sort of thing. So it's quite a volume.
Okay, so they don't, some of those, I would take the majority of those people don't stay in the jail then.
No, a lot of them bond out, correct.
But
Or they
they'll
may be
return, right?
transferred to whatever county they have a warrant for. But they still have to be arraigned and given their rights and set bonds and all that here once they've been arrested. So they've been pretty busy. Just wanted to let you know that.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
sorry, thank you for hearing it because I have to leave.
All right, is there any other questions on his report? If not, is there a motion to approve his report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, Francis?
The second thing we needed to come back to was the software discussion. And so there's been some amounts that have been confirmed with Tyler just as of yesterday. So I wanted to share that with you and just kind of show you a scenario and if we want to amend the budget for some of these updated costs. So I passed out the sheet too if it's easier to look at. But what this is, the top 3, it just shows DA and then the GEL, of course, system and then the SO records management system. It shows you the one-time cost and then what the ongoing cost would be, the annual support cost. And then the blue highlighted box just pulls all 3 of those systems together and shows you the total. So I do have up there the one-time cost notated other source of funding. So this scenario assumes that those costs would be housed outside of the general fund. Of course, those are decisions that have to still be discussed, of course, and approved by those elected officials that are over those funding sources. But just to get to where you need to get today, I wanted to just assume there that those would be other sources of funding. So the ongoing cost, you'll see there in the blue box, would be $643,000. We found that those ongoing costs would be due when we sign the contract with Tyler. And so estimate, which would be on the high side, would be in 3 months that contract tentatively could be signed. And so we would be expensing 75% of that cost to this next fiscal year. So that very bottom bright green highlight, 482,000, is what we would need in next year's budget to accommodate those ongoing costs. Earlier in budget discussions, we were looking at different percentages and different amounts, so that's why there's different percentages there. But we had already included roughly 18,000 in the budget per our discussions earlier in the summer. And so if y'all are good with moving forward with this, we would need to add an additional $364,411 into the budget. And that would be max cost. So of course, if that contract, is signed later than 3 months, of course, that amount goes down, but that would be the max amount that we would need for next year.
Okay, and there wouldn't be any, so what are the different ways to offset that cost? Through other type of funds?
So just the ongoing cost, primarily those being the amount that they are, general fund would probably be the best source for those to come from, because they would be ongoing, for years to come. We have special revenue funds here and there that we use for things, but I don't think any of the amounts in any of those would be sufficient to cover a substantial amount of those. Is that what you're asking? I'm sorry if that
And then,
answered your question.
And so, is there any savings, probably not any savings this year with EDOT? Right.
And so, I'm sorry, so yes, so as that transition happens, I know that there will be some, back there, there'll be some some overlap there of months. But
Right.
eventually you'll get to where those EDOT costs are falling off completely, of course, if that's the direction that they decide to go. And you replaced it with another system.
Okay.
And we already, of course, are budgeting that annually.
Yes, to answer that question, we're expected to take, now that we have the extra DA portion in here, we do expect it to take the 18 months for this project. So for at least the next year, we would have those EDOT costs. The next year, those would drop off. And then, of course, in FY '26, they would be completely gone for any agency or any department that comes on, they would drop off the EDOT cost. I believe these three, do we have that number? The EDOT cost for DA.
I do not have it right off the top of my head. Sorry. No, I'm sorry, John.
Put them on the spot again. But those costs would drop off, along with those ancillary, all those third-party programs that the sheriff's office has as well. We can get you that actual number. But those would continue for this initial year and then drop off.
So this doesn't consider that, so we.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
so we would be getting something,
There's some
our overall cost would be less because of some of that dropping off.
So the two concessions we got from the vendor were that we do the projects together, we save approximately $126,000.
Good.
But also, they've asked that we don't publicize too much, but we have, they've dropped the rate a bit to entice us to come on board. So we have gained another roughly $100,000 break in the pricing.
And then,
That is in the one-time, not the ongoing, though.
and so this doesn't take any consideration in any kind of forfeiture funds or anything else offsetting?
Not the ongoing cost. No, sir.
No, not the ongoing.
Yes, sir.
But does it offset the initial onboarding cost?
Yes.
Yes,
already-
yes,
it's
the
already
one
netted
time.
out.
Yes, sir.
It's the other source of funding.
Other sorts of
Yes.
funding.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Yes, so the
General
the
fund.
one-time cost I have,
The one-time cost
yes,
are not in the budget,
no,
because that's going to be funded
through
through
the
Yes.
forfeiture funds.
forfeiture.
And that's
we
both.
have-
The various
And
forfeitures.
we have commitments on that from all three of these departments?
So, I know there's been a lot of discussions to happen, but ultimately,
If they want it,
until those elected officials, sign off on using those funds. You know, there's a lot of discussion to know to still happen. But this is just, I think, a scenario that we're floating around right now so that we can get an amount into the budget
Yeah.
next year for general fund, and have sufficient budget if it moves forward.
Right.
Yeah, we have verbal commitments, and we also we plan to flesh this complete plan out and make sure that we do have everything we need to go forward. Also, this is, again, approximately a year and a half implementation, so not, all those costs will be, especially the one-time costs, will be stepped out across 18 months.
Okay.
And you start out with zero, and then we pay according to a milestone, which we will hammer out in the
Right.
contract negotiations.
Just one other question. So the, we are over our 33%.
Yes, sir.
And by enough that this actually could, and we still stay within our policy of,
Yes, very safely. It doesn't
Okay.
affect it very much at all.
good. All right, any other questions or?
So then what do we need to do today? What kind of motion?
So if there's a motion made to include an additional $364,411 in the budget for the ongoing cost, that will just allow next year to run smoothly. No budget amendment would be needed within the general fund.
Okay. All right,
Say that figure again, because I don't see it on the paper.
So there, $482,276 would be the amount, but you already agreed to put a smaller amount in the budget earlier in the summer. So the difference that we would need to add would be $364,411. And that would bring the budget up to that $482,000.
okay.
And that's for the Tyler conversion projects.
Yes, the ongoing cost for DA, jail, and the SO records management.
Judge, my motion would be to add $364,411 to the budget to facilitate the Tyler conversion projects for the district attorney's office, the jail, and sheriff's office record management.
Okay. All right, is there a second?
Second.
Motion made, and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, passed. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay. So, is there anything else that anyone needed to come back to? That's all I have, so I think we're ready to proceed.
Okay. Anything else? May proceed.
Okay. So I had prepared, this is gonna sound familiar because we went through some same information last session, but I just prepared some information to prepare for the hearing in case there were ones here for the hearing or ones that are listening online, just to recap what you would be adopting today.
Okay?
Again, just the two rates, there's several other rates, but the rates we have focused on is the one is the no new revenue rate. So that enables the citizens to evaluate their taxes between the prior year and the current year. It's based on a tax rate that would produce the same amount of levy if you applied it to both of those properties in both years. And then the voter approval rate. So that's the maximum rate without an election that you could adopt. And so that rate also incorporates the 3.5% above the no new revenue rate each year, as well as your unused increment rate. And we talked earlier in the summer that you consistently have been adopting the no new revenue rate or lower. So you've banked 10.5% that was calculated into that voter approval rate. And so then just to summarize, these are based on the certified values that we received late July. So your no new revenue rate is there, 0.329805. And then it goes down. Our current rate, currently for the current year, is 376,355. And then your voter approval rate of 46701. So quite a bit of difference between the lowest and highest. That next column will show you the total levy that would be generated. So that's for all funds, not just general fund, but permanent improvement and debt service. And so that'll show you from 88 million down to up to 124 million, the difference in the levies that those rates would bring in. And then the far column, that just compares each of those rates to the levy that that was based on last year's rate. And so, again, just looking at new certified values and then what levy does that bring in? And so then on August 1st, of course, of this year, you proposed that no new revenue rate. So the lowest rate there at the top of the chart of 329,805. And so compared to the current rate, the proposed tax rate is a 4.655 cent decrease, or 12.4 cents, or percent rather. And so if you looked at a $100,000 piece of property, just simply, it would be $46.55 a year difference. And then with that proposed rate, since 2016, the tax rate would have decreased by 20 cents if you, again, voted on that proposed rate of 329,805. And that's a 37.2% drop in the rate since that year. And then on the budget, so, we'll be adopting the budget and the tax rate separately. Just some highlights for the year. So cost of living adjustment for all employees and officials of that 3.51%. Cost of living adjustment for retirees of 3%. And so that's reflected throughout the budget in your retirement rate, as well as the lump sum payment that we're making to TCDRS of $1 million. You also made many necessary personnel adjustments that HR recommended to keep positions in line with market data. We added 16 different positions for law enforcement, judicial functions, IT support. We increased the county's portion of the health insurance by 10%. And a lot of discussion there occurred, but in the end, inflation in healthcare was the prime reason for that need. Lots of other increases that we were able to make through the budget and keep our tax rate at the no new revenue rate. And those increases were, we're seeing throughout departments because of growth in the county, and then inflation. So each year we're needing to increase for those reasons. Increases to economic development budget lines. And so, those we talk about a lot, having a positive ROI impact for years to come. So those are important. And then, again, this rate accommodated that additional debt service for the new debt issue that we just approved last week. And so that will assist in constructing the judicial center at the downtown jail. Okay, so that's just a quick summary there.
Back on the numbers you had up there for the $100,000 home, $46, and is that proportionate? So if it's a $200,000, it'd be half of the 46?
Double it, so.
Double it.
Yeah, if you
92.
double the amount,
Yes, yes.
you have
And that's
the.
on on 100 again, so, if someone's was 100 and now, their value went up some, of course, they're not gonna see that exact
That exact.
savings, but that's just comparing 100,000 to 100,000. Yes, sir. Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, are we ready to open the hearing?
We are.
Okay. Under D1B, I'd like to open the public hearing for the FY '23 budget published in the paper for this year. All right, anyone want to speak to this? All right, seeing none, we will close the hearing at 9:38. All right, going to item D1C, consideration of and vote to adopt the FY '24 budget. All right, I can put the words of the motion out there, and you can choose if you want to support it or not. The motion would be to adopt the FY '24 budget as presented by the county auditor.
Inclusive of the changes made this morning?
Yes, so the proposed budget that was filed on August 1st, plus any changes that you've voted on since that time, including the ones this morning.
That'd be my motion, Judge.
Okay.
I move to adopt the FY 2024 budget as presented by the county auditor with changes that have been approved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry?
Aye.
Pass. All right, under D1D, vote to ratify the property tax increase reflected in the 2024 budget.
It's,
Pull that one.
yeah,
That just needs to be pulled with no action.
Okay. We'll pull that with no action. So under E1C, vote to set the adopted 2023 tax rate.
I move that the property tax rate be decreased by the adoption of a tax rate of 0.329805, 0.301039 for maintenance and operation, and 0.278
287.
28766 for interest and sinking.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Miller?
Aye.
Judge Felton?
Aye.
Commissioner Jones?
Aye.
Commissioner Perry?
Aye.
Pass. All right, thank you. Good work, everyone.
Thank you, Francis.
Thank you all.
Okay, we will now go to, under item E, accept the county department heads and staff department reports and updates. So under E1, we have juvenile probation monthly activity reports for May through June of 2023. Mr. Colin Coker. Morning, sir.
Thank you, Judge Felton. Thank you, Judge Felton, Commissioners. Good morning. So condensing the reports that were referenced for May, June, and July, we had a total of 127 referrals. For probation, during that time frame, we had a total of 167 juveniles on probation, 83 on deferred prosecution, and 168 on conditions of temporary release. For detention, we started out with 23 juveniles, and we had an additional 98 placed in our detention facility. We released a total of 116 during that time frame. We had an average daily population of 16 and an average length of stay of 21 days, excuse me. For our psychotropic medication, we had a total of 20 juveniles in our detention facility that were prescribed some kind of psychotropic medication. We currently do not have any juveniles that are pending TJJD commitment in our detention facility, but the list or the wait list for the state is there are 93 kids throughout the state that are on that wait list pending admission, and the average wait time is 86 days. And that was it in a nutshell. If there are any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
All right, thank you. Colin, are you seeing any trends that encourage you or bother you in any way?
Well, Your Honor, we're still kind of looking at the effects of the kind of the moving toward the post-pandemic era. Are the numbers going to continue to what they've been projected pre-pandemic, or are we in kind of an unknown area? I mean, overall, our referrals are tracking up, but it's not exponentially by any length of the imagination. So right now we're just trying to figure it out and strategically think how we may be able to offer some additional programming.
So with school back in session, how do you feel that'll affect you in any way, if any?
You know, the norm is school starts, our referrals start increasing, then they go down over the holidays, and they start increasing again toward the end of the school year, and kind of gets toward the higher end toward May, and then they start going down again in summer, and that's kind of what we've been experiencing so far this year.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Colin?
Colin, could you give me the number again on the length of waits for juveniles to be sent to, I guess, juvenile detention from
State.
to the state? What was that?
To the state, yeah.
What was those
Yes,
numbers?
sir. Average wait time is 86 days.
It's 2.5 months, about, or a little over 2.5, maybe almost 3
Yes,
months.
yes, sir.
Almost 3 months. Okay. Is that been pretty much the standard here recently?
I mean, it was over 100 days. And I mean, we had kids sitting back in detention for, over the pandemic, for about a year before they were finally, admitted. So that number's, gone down.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, any other questions for Colin? If not, is there a motion to approve his report for recording purposes?
So move.
Second?
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. All right, next.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Colin, have a good day. Go to E2 under Engineering Monthly Activity Report, Mr. Zane Dunham. Good morning, sir.
Morning. So for the last quarter, we had approximately $32,389 in receipts. We have roughly 13 bridges that are in the pipeline, either to being planned for repair, replacement, or new bridges. We have 3 low water crossings that are in process of either being repaired or designed for repair. And we have 2 soil water conservation dams that are in the process to be repaired in the near future. We had 2 roads that received new signs, regulatory signage. We have roughly 5 solar farms that are in the planning to come into the county. And it's been pretty busy. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
On Chapel Road, I know there were some neighborhood concerns over there about rerouting. Have we got that kind of settled, you think, or?
So we are going to have a public meeting once we get a contractor on board. We're currently in the process of advertising that roadway project. Once we receive bids, we'll look at the bids and recommend a potential successful bidder to the court for your approval.
Okay.
And then once we contract with that contractor, we will sit down with that contractor and discuss the best way to manage the traffic on Chapel Road and around, hopefully around the neighborhoods that are sensitive to that roadway project. And then we'll have a public meeting so that all the public will be able to ask questions to the contractor, to the engineer, and to us.
Okay.
If anyone is asking, please share that with them, because we've got a lot of emails and phone calls about that, and we've got no clue till a contractor looks at it and says, here's what we're gonna do, so. But yeah, and they're not gonna be happy. Now, there's gonna be people that are gonna be upset through the construction phase.
I understand there was a few people not happy with I-35 construction recently.
Really? I can't believe that.
No.
Hard to believe.
This $11.3 million estimate that you have on your report here.
For Chapel Road, yes.
When was that made?
About in June,
Oh, okay,
June, July.
okay. So that's pretty up to
It's
date.
pretty recent, yes.
We received a federal grant to rebuild, is it Castleman Creek Dam? Is that what?
There's 2 dams, correct? Castleman Creek #2 and Tawakona Creek 21.
Okay, which one of them we received the federal funding grant that's gonna pay for it
The
totally?
one that's in the agenda today is Castleman Creek Site
Oh,
#2.
that's somewhere else, okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, that's
that-
roughly, it's a little over $800,000.
That's great news.
And they design it, the NRCS will design it. They will inspect the construction of it. Our part of the project is to be the fiscal agent and pay the contractor for invoices that have successfully met with NRCS and my office's approval. And then we will later be reimbursed for those expenses. And then we will get some money for our efforts on doing the fiscal agent part.
That's great, great.
All right, any other questions for Zane? I understand we had a lot of road signs stolen in precinct 2. And
That's what I understand, yes, sir.
I've created a press release on that and gone out. I think it's gone out. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Zane.
Make a motion to approve the engineer's report.
Second.
I have motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. All right, going to items E3, maintenance of equipment, Mr. Michael Graham. Okay.
Morning, Judge.
Morning.
Commissioners.
Morning.
We'll start with a radio shop. Over the last 3 months, in the jail, we had 21 work orders for a total of 34 labor hours. Repairs and tower project, we had 117 labor hours involved there. Equipment install, removal, and repair, we had 35 work orders for 286 labor hours. In our sign shop, sounds like we're going to be busy again.
Yeah.
In May, we had 9 sign orders for 108 signs covering 6 departments. In June, 7 sign orders for 154 signs covering 5 departments. And in July, 4 sign orders for 29 signs covering 3 departments. Vehicle maintenance. May, we worked for 6 different county departments with 91 work orders, 9 state inspections, and a little over 7,800 in outside labor costs. June, we worked for 5 county departments with 117 work orders, 18 state inspections, with a little over almost 15,000 in outside labor costs. And in July, 5 county departments, 97 work orders, 12 state inspections, with a little bit less than 17,000 in outside labor costs. Now, keep in mind, those do cover accidents as well as major mechanical repairs. That kind of covers our last quarter. Want to touch on a little bit, and I know we touched on this, the last quarterly report, and then y'all touched on it this morning with hail damage. We ended up with 11 units damaged. We still have 3 estimates we're waiting on because all the repair shops in the county are backed up.
Yeah.
But as of right now, we've got 50,500 in estimated damages. Average damage per unit is about $6,000. This includes hoods, roofs, and we had 4 windshields repaired. Out-of-pocket expense, once it's all said and done, will be about $26,500. That's our deductibles on that, because so far, every vehicle but one has met the deductible for tax. So Francis and I have been in communication and look for an upcoming budget amendment to help cover these expenses.
Okay. Any questions? So, I know we were having some of the Tahoes that reached 150,000 miles were having transmission issues.
Yes, sir.
Have we got new units in to replace some of those?
Those units should be in within about 3 weeks.
Oh,
And this
okay.
is from our order from last year. That's how long the supply chain has taken
Yeah.
for those to come through. But yeah,
Okay.
we should have them in before the end of the budget year.
Okay. All right, any questions?
What was that hail damage? You think we're going to be out of pocket again?
About 26.5 once all the deductibles.
You said how many units?
11 units. Our deductible on each unit is 2,500. That's threshold.
Any other questions? All right, what's the pleasure, of the court?
Move to approve the report.
Second.
All right, thank you very much. You have a motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you, Captain.
All right, next would be radio shop. So, excuse me, I'm sorry. This is County Veteran Service Officer Monthly Activity Report, Steve Hernandez. Steve?
Good morning, gentlemen. With the exception of the just normal operations of our federal mandate, we do have some community activity that I just kind of wanted to address. That's usually not on the report. We continue to try to accommodate the aging veteran population with nursing home issues as well as transfer issues involving the veteran community living center as well. That seems to be a challenge, also keeping them at home. We're having a lot of third-party solicitations that want to take advantage of veteran benefits, but it really goes to the veterans. So we're kind of having some conflict there with trying to identify, should we endorse them? Should we get too involved with them when we're actually, it's the veteran benefit, so we're pretty much advising that they go talk directly to the veteran and not come to us and through us. So that's kind of an issue there, but it also keeps the veteran at home with some assistance with the additional benefits to help with caregiving. We've also been focusing with on employment with the City of Waco, the Veterans Committee that was created. And so we did have a job fair. We are looking to try to get more involvement with the Greater Waco Chamber on trying to come up with a strategic plan to attract more younger veterans into the community. We also continue to focus on mental health. There still is a suicide statistic that is very concerning, and a lot of it happens or seems to be the first year of separation. We have a lot of veterans that have come out and are trying to determine how they're going to transition back, and it's whether it's through education or whether it's through job or whether it's through any disabilities that they had while in service and having to reintegrate back into society with those disabilities. So we're trying to figure out how we can help the VA in determining the suicides and how they come over on this side of the fence into the community and how we can help support that. So that's also something that we're doing at the community level. Behavioral Health Network has really done very well with case management on some of those. We also are seeing a little bit more transient veterans that are coming in from other cities and other counties. They don't stay here long, but they stay here where we try to accommodate them, whether it's a homeless issue or a hunger issue or just a temporary type situation where we find ourselves having to determine how we can keep them out of jail for any type of low-level charges that they may incur. The non-eligible veterans also seem to be a little bit more of a concern now too. Anything involving bad conduct discharges are not federally eligible a lot of times, only for mental health or for health reasons or health allowances. But everything else is not allowed. So we find ourselves trying to either get them upgrades, connect them to someone who can do an upgrade or just try to help them with whatever the policies are of the grants that have been given in the community to help support veterans in housing. And let me see, I will be creating a new line item. We are going to the jail now more and more to talk to veterans about benefits, while they're losing them, because a lot of times they do get stuck with overpayments. And so what happens is when they get out, because of their overpayment, they have no money. And so at that time, we have to kind of play catch up and get a waiver for them in hopes that they will be waived and that they can get those benefits reinstituted. And so we're trying to catch that ahead of time and try to get it what's called apportionments, where the family or another member can get a percentage to keep the support going where he doesn't get the money. They don't petition. Next thing you know, they got an overpayment because of it. Then we did have an increased traffic due to the PACT Act. That's the Hazardous Material Act that was passed by Congress that involved the Gulf War, Afghanistan, Iraq, veterans, as well as some new presumptives for herbicide exposure from Vietnam. And the homeless project on the VA campus looks to hopefully be finalized in October. They're talking about breaking ground. It's a 32-unit homeless project at the VA. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And so it looks to be in the final stages of development there. So we're hoping that comes to fruition also, because I think that'll help support some of the changes that I see or that we see are going. And that's really it, other than, of course, the report that you get.
Okay. All right, and in regards to those veterans looking for work, there's a renewed effort, and going through the chamber is a good idea, and then Workforce Solutions with Jose Palacios
Yes,
over
sir.
there.
That's right.
He's been they're focused on it, and so, and had some success. So, I know in a meeting that I was at yesterday with, industry leaders, that, some of these newer companies especially are, as they're putting on their new staff and, workforce, that's a high priority for them, so stay in touch with those industries
sir.
like that.
Okay. I do discuss, it's kind of a flavor of the month sometimes where there's some activities that kind of surface to the top and then we get involved in employment. Right now is one of those things. So I have talked to Jose. We did have that job fair.
Yeah.
For veterans, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I will stay on top of that.
Yeah, he does a good job covering all of it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, any questions?
Steve, remind me one more time what DFAS stands for.
DFAS, Defense Finance and Accounting Service. That's for retirees or deceased retirees and their
Benefits.
surviving spouses have to contact. And then they have forms that they have to fill out, and we usually help out with the forms so that they can get their
I just couldn't
annuities,
remember.
survivor benefits. Sure, no, that's fine, sir.
Okay, any other questions? Now, is there a motion to approve Steve's report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second.
Have motion, second, any discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you, Steve.
Yes, sir.
All right, next I call on Ken Bass, purchasing monthly activity report for June through August 2023.
Morning.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
This last quarter has been fairly busy for purchasing. We've issued a number of large ticket bids and our RFQ, RFPs. We had North Crooked Creek and Top Creek, which is being worked on. We've got, we did the jail medical and health services for the jails and detention centers. We did inmate meals, inmate and staff meals for the jail and detention center. We did trading post low water crossing. Right now we have out the courthouse hardware for the doors to meet the ADA requirements. That was a big ticket item, it's been on the books for a long time. We finally got it out. We actually have received in bids. We'll have a recommendation for next court.
Have you seen them? Have you seen the poles?
No, I have, we will see them, we'll get approval on that before we start installing anything, for sure.
Yeah, we
And
sure
of
need
course,
that.
STV is involved with that as well, so we'll have a consensus of opinion on that. Then we have out Chapel Road, as we've talked about earlier. Another deal that was talked about earlier from Zane is we will have out Castle Creek number 2. It goes out Thursday. We just put that together. It's been reviewed by the NRCS, so hopefully we have that all ready to go. From last court, I think you understand that all the projects that we had going at Paul Tyson are complete, unless we add something else to it. We do have the tower in the air at Precinct 3. We're waiting on some parts to install antennas, and then some odds and ends parts. We need batteries for UPS. And after we get all that done, we'll be coming to court to talk about some monies to build a fence around the tower. But we were waiting for it to be complete before we kind of fenced off and do that. TJ's been working on, we got the quotes for setting poles and meter bases over here at 415 Columbus, so we can get that done, so we can move the power poles out of the middle of the lot, so we can start deconstructing the building over there.
Ken, on that, is there any, do we have any estimate at all, you or TJ, on when that will be leveled?
Well, it's, when we get the electrical moved, then we can put out the bid to have that.
3 months,
destroyed.
4 months, 6 months?
Yeah, oh, yeah. We should be able to do that. This is the last piece. This had to be done before we can put equipment in there to work on the building. We've had the auctions going and completed. We've had 3 this last quarter. We have one open records request. Got to appreciate the judge's office for help on this, but it's open records request for food service commissaries for the jail. We have that complete, and we'll try to have that sent out today. And that's pretty much it, unless you have any questions.
All right, any questions for Ken?
A lot going on, Ken.
Yes, sir. Zane's been keeping me busy.
Okay, if there's not any questions, there a motion to approve Ken's report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. All right, call on Mr. T.J. Jackson. Maintenance of Building Quarterly Activity Report, August 2023.
Good morning.
Morning.
So we have our typical report. Work order numbers are staying pretty steady. As you can see on there, a couple of things of interest. We have 2 Tech 1s that are going to go to HVAC school next week. It'll be a 2-week course. When they come back, they'll be certified, so they will move into Tech 2 positions, and we will open those vacant spots. One of the biggest projects of interest that I want to talk about is the ARPA HVAC funding project. We met with an engineer a couple of weeks ago that's on board to help us out with design efforts. So they'll specify particular pieces of equipment, put together a bid package that will directly relate and correspond with the ARPA funding. So that's a huge win for us. We were struggling at the time to find an engineer that would help us out. You see the roof replacements on here that coincide with our insurance claims, so those we'll start working on pretty soon. Big one, Highway 6 roof, we met with an engineer a couple of weeks ago who will provide us with a quote to go ahead and design that one out. So we'll bring that to court hopefully in the next 2 months. Other than that, it's business as usual. We're looking for a break in the heat. If we could do anything with that, we'd be in better shape.
I mean,
A couple more weeks.
Now, we reserved ARPA money for the HVAC, didn't we? I mean, there's some money set aside in that,
We
correct?
did, yes, sir, I believe about $5 million.
Okay.
and,
5 million, that's right.
and then, now that's outside of the judicial center, right?
Yes.
And then part of the money, dedicated to the judicial construction is related to the HVAC system there, airflow and those things. Is that correct? So-
Right, we have another 5 million there, plus that roughly 9.1 million left in the lost revenue portion
Yeah.
of the ARPA fund.
Right, all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is there any other questions for TJ? If not, is there a motion to approve his
So
report?
moved.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right, we've already done Mr. Bain, so we'll go to item E8 under Health Services Monthly Activity Report from May through August 2023. Call on Heather.
Morning.
Good morning.
So as you can see from our report, our committee obligations and community partner interactions are staying steady. I feel like we're always kind of getting pulled into new things that are going on, which is a great reflection of the work that we're doing, and folks are interested in our perspective and what we're seeing in the community. So our insight's been helpful. Moving down into our department specifically, One of the things that we've accomplished in this last quarter that I'm a little proud of is our audit tool. So quickly after taking over the department, I realized there was not an audit tool on the state level nor with any other indigent program in the state where we were actually able to audit our cases that we work for county indigent and pauper cremation. And so as part of kind of the objectives for our lead eligibility specialist for this next year, we set a goal for her to create an audit tool, and she did that. And so we're proud to also be able to now share that tool with the rest of the county indigent programs within the state. It's a tool that was created based on statute to audit county indigent cases specifically for eligibility purposes, and then also one that's unique to our department for pauper cremations. And counties will have to tweak theirs, obviously, to make it unique and for their county specifically. As you can see, we've had several community outreach activities, the Mart ISD Back to School Bash. In particular, we actually co-organized that with the superintendent at the school. And that was a success. We were actually able to have both rural transit and Hot Hog Transit there together, since part of the Mart area lies on both county Limestone and McLennan line. So that was nice. Proud of our new row marker sign installation at the Restland Cemetery. If you haven't had a chance, swing by there and look. TJ's guys did a great job. They helped design the signs and then installed them, and we're just thankful for their support in that project. And then kind of moving down into our program numbers, we're holding steady. We've seen just a little decrease in current active clients, but overall for the year, we're still ahead of what we normally see, we've seen in past years. As you can see, we've received almost 900 applications so far this year. And that really kind of hits all the highlights. Do you have any questions?
Any questions anyone have? All right.
I want to add really quickly that we did go out and do a site visit with Larry Price, the CEO from the Limestone County Hospital. You know, they're supposed to be taking over an old building that was part of the Mart ISD. It was a science building. They're hoping to move their Rucker Clinic into that building, and also with our help, create a collaboration site where multiple organizations like us, WIC, other organizations similar, are actually going to be housed in there, part-time, not necessarily full-time all the time, but it'll be kind of a one-stop shop for those people out there on the edge of the county.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? If not, is there a motion to approve Heather's report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Thank you, Heather. All right. All right, going to items E9. This is the Information Technology Monthly Activity Report, Mr. John Carter.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Our IT Director. We'll start with the highlights, which you have as well, but I want to make a few comments about these. One of the things that we were really happy with, not with the incident, but with the response to it, was when the records building was completely removed from the world for a few days there by the fiber cut by the construction crew out front. Just wanted to say, I mean, you all know what happened and how it came about and how it was repaired. But I just wanted to say really a thank you to my folks. Couldn't be prouder of a group to really band it together, got it done very quickly, let everyone know what was going on. And throughout the whole process, I think everyone understood, when and how it was going to be repaired, and then eventually was repaired very quickly, actually. Secondly, the second item there, we hired a security analyst, our security and compliance analyst. She started August 7th, I believe it was. But since then, and it's not really part of this quarter since it happened in August, but we have our systems analyst starting tomorrow. So we're now just down one position. So I retract the challenge of 2 remaining vacancies in the next section there. We have 1 current vacancy with a desktop technician 2. Also, we've increased our website accessibility score to 97 from a 94 in the last quarter. The top is 100 there. That just really means you're in compliance with the ADA website accessibility rules. Those will be changing in the next year, but I don't anticipate any problem being in full compliance with those. Our folks in the IT department do a great job. So the remaining challenge of department reorganization and realignment, that has coming to fruition with the budget. So once we roll into October 1st, we'll be in much better shape there. We'll be realigned. There are a couple of positions we're adding, and we're really looking forward to that. Selected projects. So the Manage Engine implementation, which was approved by Commissioners Court earlier this year, we've gotten to almost half of our endpoints under management now, and that's really being a big boon to our network administrators and our systems folks. We hope within the FY24 to be in 100%. We also placed a digital display outside in the back of the courthouse here. I don't know if you've walked that way to see that, but
Yes, sir.
I think it'll be good for the folks walking in. It's just an information portal, really, a wayfinding sign. It gives notices of Commissioners Court meetings and such. I will be asking that we clean that off every now and again. It gets pretty dirty out there.
It does, yeah.
And then we've completed a refresh on the Elections Department poll books. So we're, of course, ramping up for the big election in '24. But we're keeping that all in compliance. It's going to increase the security and compatibility there. Moving down to just a few highlights going down. Our service desk numbers haven't changed dramatically over that time. We see that the biggest things come from support calls from different departments and personnel changes, as you can see. There's quite a few personnel changes, comings and goings. Moving through, next thing I just highlight your attention to is our email statistics. So as you know, people are always trying to fool us and get us to click on things, but we noticed from last quarter to this quarter, it jumped from 18,000 things that we've trapped, and caught, up to 34,000. So it almost doubled in the last quarter. And that's just people trying more and more things to get to us. But the team, of course, does a great job again, and our vendor sign area helping us out there. Then to move down to the internet bandwidth usage, what we're seeing, and you can kind of determine that from the colors that you're seeing, is we've had a much increased usage as we've gone along here in the 7 months I've been here. But the Commissioners Court responded quickly and approved the increase in the bandwidth. We expect to see that hit us by October 1st. So in October 1st, by the first quarter reports from next year, you should see that number shrink, that we won't be as fully utilized as we have been. The only thing to mention really with the budget is that we're at about 82% on our budget, so we're in good shape there. I think we won't need any kind of reserve money or anything, it doesn't look like. And activities. So moving on to the archives department. You can see that most of our scans by far are done for the sheriff's office. Nothing really of note there. We just keep our eye on that to make sure we have the correct resources to handle that. And then moving on down to the research aspect of the archives, you'll notice a pretty big difference in the district clerk as opposed to any other department in the county. So, and that's not unusual. That's always every quarter. Their civil is fairly high compared to others, but obviously the criminal is much higher. We're attributing that to, of course, I know the DA is working through the backlog of criminal cases, and we're just, things that happen as we go along with the court cases. And that's really the extent, I believe, of what I really wanted to point out. Are there any questions or comments?
On the archive side, I know from time to time we'll have a kind of a push to get people to go ahead and transfer stuff that's kind of held in their office over to a secure place, and whether it's called fall cleaning or spring cleaning. whenever we get around to it, but, you know, space costs a lot of money. And, you know, we've created a really good space for our archives. And, you know, got a good staff. It appears to me we were able to get things back and forth when needed. So at the end of this budget year, which is now on us, then seems like between October 1 and the end of the year, it might be a good time to start cleaning out files, moving them to archives, and clear up space within these offices. And it just, you know, a lot of times it just takes a little encouragement to get that done. And
Yes, we did have that planned. Now you're ruining my Q1 report for next year.
oh, okay.
No, I'm kidding. We do end up making a push heading into the new fiscal year to try to get people to move things to the archives.
Right.
And we have, our archive staff we've been fully staffed there the whole time I've been here. As far as I know, we haven't had significant, you know, personnel being out or anything like that. So I know we've not received any complaints about receiving files or putting files. So I agree with you that I think we've got the capacity, we've got the personnel and the expertise over there. No reason not to.
Right.
That I can see.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you. Any questions for John? Anyone have? All right. What's
Thank you,
pleasure,
Commissioners.
Court?
Move to accept for recording purposes.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. All right, under specialty court programs, annual activity report, September 1, 2022 through August 31st, 2023. So call on Amy Lowry. Morning, Amy.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share about our program successes, and especially thank you so much for your continued support. The specialty courts, of course, we work with justice-involved veterans and individuals as an alternative to incarceration to help them recover from substance use and maintain and improve positive mental health. So we've done lots and lots of things over the past year. Since our stats don't change that much quarterly, I did an annual report, so hopefully that gives you a bigger picture of what we've been doing. Also, our specialty court umbrella also covers the Mental Health Court Services Department with Mary Allen, and she handles the civil mental health issues. And then we also have the Mental Health Managed Assigned Counsel program. So all those things are under us as well. So things that we've done. So we have a lot of grant reports that we do. We currently have 4 federal and state grants. So their fiscal years are different. Some of them are multi-year, so they total 1.6 million. So it's a lot of plates in the air. Using that grant funding, we've been able to assist all of our participants in the DWI Drug Court, Veterans Treatment Court, and Mental Health Court programs with their UA drug testing through probation. Just over the past year, the grant fund paid $10,760 just to help those participants. So that was a pretty huge thing. We have worked with Centacor and BHN to establish contracts within the past year. That has established inpatient residential detox and intensive outpatient treatment for all of our participants in all 3 programs. And we also have contracts with the Baylor University Psychology Department to provide doctoral students in all 3 programs to provide group counseling, do our evidence-based assessments, and some individual counseling as well. So currently we have 13 evidence-based groups all throughout the week, so super busy. And that's provided by all the case managers and the doctoral interns. So super proud of all that. Some activities that we've done over the past year, the Commissioners Court has proclaimed May as Treatment Court Month, and soon we will again request for September to be Recovery Month. We have had a couple of sober events that we have hosted and also co-sponsored over the summer, one at the bowling alley and one out at Lake Waco. Huge turnout, and because we always want people to have events where they can go and be with other people in recovery in a safe place. We've also participated in a learning collaborative with Prosper Waco and some other community agencies focusing on some mental health issues locally. including discussions of a low barrier drop-off center for high utilization persons. So hopefully that will move forward, making a bigger difference in our community. So currently, our numbers don't change that much because our capacity in each court is 30 participants. So continue to get more applications, more admissions, and they're continuing to rise. So specifically in Veterans Treatment Court, those admissions are really high, which is wonderful. Each treatment court is a 4-phase treatment court that takes a minimum of 12 months. So once they're at least in for a year. So that being said, the mental health court and the Veterans Treatment Court really got rolling right after COVID. And so, it's taken a whole year to get everybody through. They're at least 12 months cycle. So far, in mental health court, we've had 9 graduates, and those cases are dismissed and expunged. We've had 16 Veterans Court graduates. And then in drug court, of course, this is over 16 years because it's been around a little bit longer. There's been 161 graduates. So looking at that impact in our community is really significant. I'm really proud of all that and our team members. The next mental health court graduation is Thursday, September 21st at 3 in the Commissioner's Courtroom. And the next drug court graduation is Monday, September 25th at 5:30 in County Court at Law 1, and everyone is invited. Please join us.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Amy? All right, if not, is there a motion to approve all the specialty court reports for recording purposes?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you, Amy. All right, go to items E11, Human Resources Monthly Activity Report. Call on Anna.
So this period, before I get into a lot of details of the actual HR activity for the period, I wanted to just take the time to remind the court kind of the changes that I've made with the activity report that began in the previous period, and that I'll be sharing ongoing year-to-year summaries, which I think is a helpful assessment in which direction these programs need to go, rather than a quarter-to-quarter snapshot. They may not shed light on a direction that needs to be taken if different from the current course. And so this will be the second report that's giving the court that year-to-year review for some of these programs and employee activities or workforce activities. But you'll always find the specific period highlights. For instance, this period, May to July, those will always be shown or displayed on my first page or report summary. And then also I'll highlight them throughout the, give more details on those throughout the presentation. And so I just wanted to highlight that again for the court. So for this period, some of our standout activity that we have, of course, is with wrapping up budget today, and that's the past few months we've been sharing our compensation analysis with the Commissioner's Court, and so that's been wrapped up. But of course, that information collection began in February of this year. And another item that we were able to complete this period was the processing of incentive pay. So employees, the workforce, got to see the fruits of that program here in this past period. Another highlight to make about the HR activity, the court had in the past mentioned wanting to really have the workforce have awareness of HR programs and HR personnel, specifically being able to pinpoint services with the individual HR representative. who is providing that, faces to names sort of things. And so in this July newsletter issued to the workforce, we went ahead and took that opportunity to kind of reintroduce our HR staff to the workforce, including what the services each staff member can help them with. And so we were excited to be able to do that. That newsletter, which is a team effort, but specifically Stacy Vega, our benefit specialist, is the one who really owns that newsletter, makes it her own, and makes it and tailors it every time for the workforce needs. So, in addition to that, for this period, we also I just want to follow up on the results of the change or amendment to the compensatory time policy that I presented earlier this summer. So we saw a need there. There was an increase or expected overage of compensatory time payout budget. The auditor's office helped us identify that. And so in response, we amended the policy to be sure we can curb that growing liability or expense. And so we have seen a dramatic drop off in that compensatory time balance. There's now a decrease, or there's been a decrease of 51% for that compensatory time liability. So I just wanted to share that. Specifically, the amounts can be found on page 21 and 25 of the agenda. And so in June, the active liability was $162,045. That's now $80,157.
Good.
Yes, good.
So those are the kind of things that occurred this past period, just moving forward or looking forward. What you can expect HR to be working on is, of course, ongoing planning for our Wellness and Lifestyle Expo that we have occurring in October. We're also about to launch, hopefully in the month of September, our biannual workforce training for basic courses. So that includes general office safety training, harassment prevention training, bloodborne pathogen training for applicable positions. You'll be seeing that come across your email inbox, hopefully in the month of September. And we, as a reminder, HR tries to do that every other year to keep safety and workplace environment up to par where it needs to be. I'm going through my notes just to be sure I touched on all of our highlights. Oh, another item that we did, kind of going back to the period information. Another item I wanted to highlight is a new form of advertisement that we used during the summer for employment applications, and that's streaming radio. We had used traditional radio in the past, AM, FM radio, but this is our first time attempting streaming radio. It's the company is called Audio Go, but their primary, so it's many radio stations, streaming radio stations, but the primary outlet is Pandora. So we had consistent ads running from June to July of this summer, and we did see a good response to those radio ads. So on average, from January to May, we were seeing 232 average per month in applications, and so for June and July, that average was 289. So we did see some success from that. We're cautious with the word success just because before the pandemic, our average was 400 applications. So that's still our goal, is trying to see those pre-pandemic figures. So we'll keep tallying those for the court. I think those are all my notes for the court. Are there any questions for me?
So our staffing is, so we've got about the same amount of vacancies as we had last year. As far as numbers, I don't know what percentage of our overall FTEs that is, but I guess with the competition that's out there, it's pretty good to hold our own.
Yes, the competition is, we try to keep our tabs on them to see kind of what new initiatives or programs they're using to attract applicants. But we're seeing vacancies being filled, but the true, I think, marker of where we want to be or need to be is our turnover.
Separations.
Right. We want.
That average is down.
It is.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I provide that year figure so that we can always maintain that monitoring. And so for last year, the average monthly amount of separations was 19. Currently, year to date, we're at 16. And so we hope that that keeps dropping. That way those vacancies continue to drop and we're not having to focus so much effort on recruitment. But yes, we're hoping that that figure stays below last year, because last year there were a lot.
Yeah. All right, any questions, Father? All right, is there a motion to approve the report for recording purposes?
So move.
Second?
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Thank you.
All right, under items E12, Texas A&M Agri-Life Extension Reports in your package. Is there any questions on that anyone would have?
No question, but a comment. In reading through that packet that's sent, I'm really impressed with their contacts that they make.
Yep.
They've a significant number of not only adults, but students throughout their area that they engage. It's pretty remarkable.
Yep, really is.
A lot of programs.
Right. All right, is there a motion to approve their report for recording purposes?
So move.
Second?
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. Dustin, can we get through the rest of these items within a reasonable length of time? We've been going.
Yes, sir. Judge, I do think we need to take a break so we can go back and just check on the motion for the tax rate and just need to check some numbers on it.
Okay. All right, let's take a 5-minute break.
Recording stopped.
right, let's call court back in session. Okay, at this time, we will go into items F under contracts, interlocal agreements, and memorandums of understanding. Under F1 is authorization memorandum of agreement with Rochester Armored Car Company. Dustin?
Yes, sir. So last court session, we had approved that ratification of a termination of the contract with Dunbar and Brinks. This is the new company, so this is authorization of this memorandum of agreement. It has been reviewed by the treasurer's office, tax office, and the sheriff's office, and is recommended for approval.
All right, any questions, comments? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Under G, under grants and grant proposals, under G1 regarding the U.S. Department of Treasury. Dustin?
Yes, sir. This is just our ARPA discussion. We don't have anything specific today, but we will be working on an ARPA update in the next couple of court sessions, but nothing specific today.
All right, under G2 regarding the United States Department of Agriculture, Natural Resources Conservation Service, watershed and flood prevention operations programs. Zane?
There it is.
Yes, sir. This is a grant from the NRCS. The total cost is anticipated to be $830,075, and that would be $20,000 of that would come to the county for our part in our efforts towards this reconstruction of this dam, Casman Creek, site number 2. It's recommended that this grant application be approved for receiving monies to reconstruct this Casman Creek site 2 dam.
Okay. All right, is there a motion to approve the notice of grant and agreement award?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. Under G3 is regarding the Office of the Governor, Criminal Justice Division grant, approval of the resolution reaffirming the county's commitment for the county innovations to address commercial sex and exploration grant. So Dustin?
Yes, sir. This is the grant that was mentioned in court last week by the sheriff, and so we thought it was a good idea with the change in staffing to go ahead and send a resolution reaffirming the county and the sheriff's office commitment to the program. And so we would just need a motion to approve this resolution.
All right, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Sorry, second. Any questions or comments? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Under H, additional items in discussion and potential action. Under H1 is authorization of publication for bid 23-020, the Casman Creek watershed and flood and
Flood water retarding
yeah.
structure, site number 2.
Number 2, yep. All right, Ken?
Yes, sir. We're just seeking authorization to advertise for this bid. It'll go out on Thursday.
All right, any questions or comments? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second?
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Under H2 regarding the Texas Department of Transportation County Road Inventory Program. Zane?
Yes, sir. So throughout the year, we keep track of all the roads that become county roads, roads that we lose through annexation, any changes to the roadway system. And so we are updating the TxDOT road system. There's 61 changes. I believe you've got a copy of them, and they're recommended for approval.
All right, any questions about any of these?
Yeah, I just say it was very interesting. Thank you for the information. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, is there a motion to approve the county road inventory map changes?
So move.
Second.
Have a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you. All right, we've already done H3. So going to item H4, authorization of intergovernmental transfers of funds derived from county health care provider participation fund mandatory payment to provider, the non-federal share of the supplemental payment program authorized under the Texas Healthcare Transformation and Quality Improvement Program, or otherwise known as the 1115 waiver.
Yes, sir. So
Heather?
this is for the uncompensated care demonstration year 12 IGT request with a due date of September 5th and a settlement date of September 6th. And we are requesting at this time to be able to IGT up to the balance in the LPPF of $6,036,981.16.
Okay. Any questions about that? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right, under H5, Community Supervision and Corrections Department, recording of the FY 24-25 initial budget. Dustin?
Yes, sir. So in accordance with the Texas Local Government Code, CSCD has submitted those budgets for FY24 for recording purposes, and those are included in your packet.
All right, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept this report for recording purposes. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right, and we have no executive session items. There might have been a little bit of confusion on the motion on the tax rate. And so we're going to have to take another recess until Commissioner Muller will be back in court, because she seconded that motion, and she wants to be a part of that activity. So we'll take a 5-minute recess.
Recording stopped.
All right, let's call the court back in session. All right, I'd like to ask Dustin Chapman to make some clarifying statements and let us revisit a motion we made earlier on the tax rate. So,
Yes, sir. I think we should go back to item D1E, the vote to set, adopt the 2023 tax rate. I think there's a little bit of confusion on the interest and sinking portion, the .028766. Just not real sure if that zero was mentioned, so we think it's best while in session to go back and just clarify that. So I think we could just have a motion from, or amend the motion from Commissioner Jones and just restate all that. And then I believe Commissioner Smith had seconded. If we could amend that and then just revote, and should be good.
all right, thank you.
So I amend my motion I move that the property tax rate be decreased by the adoption of a tax rate of .329805, .301039 for maintenance and operation, and .027876.
0287.
Not 7.
.028766 for interest and sinking.
Okay,
I'm in my second to that motion.
all right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, call for a vote.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye,
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
pass. Thank you. All right, is there anything else to come before the court? Mercedes, did we clear all the action items? All right, if there's nothing else to come before the court, we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Recording stopped.